my name is Samar. I also go by Sam or First Time Panner. Any of those you want to call me, you can. And you'll probably be hearing the pipes. They've been very loud today. I don't know why. But this will be, as you can see from the title, a declutter. And again, I'm filming at night. And I'm like gonna be showing you products that have just been sitting in a bin, some of them for months. So it's gonna be dusty and you're gonna see every single dust particle fly around in front of the screen. Sorry about that. I'm mostly sorry for myself because it just makes me look crazy. But anyway, I think this is the first declutter video I filmed this year. And that is because, well, it'll end up being the only one, but that's because if you didn't know, I did 2 interstate moves this year. I did one in April and then another one in June. I didn't really have time to film and I was mostly just decluttering because I didn't, sorry, that was my cat crawling out of my cabinet. These videos are so chaotic. They were just like declutters because I didn't want to bring like old expired products with me. I didn't want to pay to have to move like products I didn't want anymore. So I was kind of decluttering out of necessity. I mean, I guess this is out of necessity as well, but different scenarios. This one is kind of just like a traditional end of year declutter where I've like been compiling all of these things that over time I realized have either 1, unfortunately expired on me, or 2, also unfortunately, I guess just didn't end up working out for me, or I didn't love them enough to keep them in my collection another year. Actually, a lot of these are products that I bought within the past year, so that's very interesting actually. But yeah, I think I'll just start with the products that expired. And fortunately there aren't too many because it's always a bummer when like you really liked something but it just went bad on you for one reason or another. The first one I am actually annoyed about because I just bought this maybe like 6 months ago or so, and this is the Urban Decay Vice lipstick in the shade 1993. I bought this I think early June. This is what it looks like. It is so pretty. I love it. It's like a super at least on me, it's a super kind of like slightly cool tone, but very like light, not like concealer lip light, but it doesn't look like too much on my skin when I put it on because it's not too far from my skin tone, but it is just such a nice like classic everyday lipstick. And I really loved it. I didn't even like know about the shade. Like apparently this is a really popular like iconic shade. I didn't even know about it until I was in Sephora, I think maybe around like May or June, and I saw this in store and it just caught my eye and I really fell in love with it. And then when I was putting it on, I think maybe like a month ago, it was I used it when I first got it, of course, in like June of this past year. Oh, also, if you didn't see one of my previous videos, that pink thing is a beauty blender that I kind of just like super glued onto an exposed screw on the cat tower because I didn't want my cats like jumping and hitting it. This was put together in a kind of makeshift way. My dad did it. Thank you, Dad. But he did not look at the directions, so there's like a few exposed or like loose screws and stuff. So anyway, that's what that is, but I probably could have picked a less conspicuous color. Anyway, I don't really remember what I was saying, but oh yeah, I used this when I first got it, and then I used it maybe like when I first moved back into town, which was July. If I said June earlier, I meant July. Or no, it would have been August because I didn't move into this apartment until August. So I used it again like in August. And then I went to use it again last month in November and it smelled horrible. Like it just, I don't know what happened in those, 3 months? But yeah, it just went bad on me. And I mean, this is only like 6 months old, so I don't know why it already went bad. Like even for a natural product, I don't think this is marketed as like being like a super natural product. Even if it was, I feel like that is way too fast for a product to go bad. So I'm just very disappointed. I honestly, even though I love the color so much, considering how quickly this went bad on me, I don't think I would repurchase this. In a very similar vein, the Tower 28 lip gloss or lip jelly, yeah, lip jelly in the shade Almond. I'll also give you a swatch of this. I am so annoyed about this because this is what it looks like. It's very pretty. Again, this was like the only shade out of, there's a hair in my eye. I just cannot, I'm not gonna be able to get through this video. This was the only shade out of all of the shades in this lip gloss range that I thought I would like on myself. And I did really like it on myself when I first got it and put it on. But I had just been wanting to try this formula so much because everyone and their mother was talking about the Tower 28 lip jellies for so long. And then finally, I cannot even remember exactly when I bought this. I think it would have been like in the past year though, because I don't think I spent like beauty credits from my low buy bank on this last year. But regardless, this is not old at all, at least for my standards in my collection. But I know that also a lot of people were saying that these go bad very quickly, but I didn't think it meant like that quickly. To give you context, right before I made this move in July, like this last move, I did like the sniff test on this and it passed, but I did notice it was starting to smell a little bit different and I should have gotten rid of it because like everyone says that these go bad so quickly, but I was like, well, it should be fine. And I just never used it again since that sniff test until again very recently. It was actually this lipstick that made me go through all of my other lip products, and lo and behold, when I smelled this, it smelled so bad, like worse than this one. This one just smells awful. And I'm so annoyed because like honestly it's my fault. I should have known because everyone was saying these go bad quickly and I already have a gigantic lip collection. I feel like I would have to just only use this if like I wanted to use before like use it completely before it went bad, and that was never gonna happen. So this was honestly on me probably because I knew better, but I feel like why would they keep putting these out if they're just gonna go bad like within a year? Then finally I have this eyeshadow stick or crayon from Milani. This was from like a very specific line, but I think I've only made one purchase from the actual Milani website, and I got this little trio. I have the other two actually because I've been lately getting into using my eyeshadow crayons every single day. But these are the other two that came in the set. It was like a Flora, I don't really remember the name of the collection, but it was like supposed to be a floral themed collection. I don't know the shade, it does not say. Oh, Gilded Flora. But it doesn't say the shade. Either way, like you can't get this anymore, so I don't know why I'm obsessing over the shade name and the like collection. But this is what it looks like. It is such a pretty, just like very deep, especially when you put it on your eye, it looks even deeper, but very deep purple eyeshadow stick. I don't have anything else like this, so I actually did get quite a bit of use out of this. I sharpened it many times. And I just really loved these eyeshadow sticks from Milani. They were so pretty. I think they should come back out with them. But I noticed, I think maybe a week ago, this is a very recent declutter, maybe a week ago I was using this instead of just like, because how I usually use these is like I just kind of put them on like underneath my lashes as like a lower lash line shadow, but using a crayon because I prefer that over powder because I feel like the powder gets on my eyes, but I'm rambling. That's how I usually use them, and then I kind of just like smudge them out. But I decided one day to just like line my upper and lower water lines with this, and it burned. It really burned. I didn't think it was this though because I don't really know why I didn't think it was this. Maybe I was just in denial because I've literally never ever had that happen to me with any product. And then I did it the next day and the exact same thing happened, and I was like, I can't believe a product like, because this is not even that old. It's maybe like on its third year in my collection, but it's like a sharpenable one, and usually those don't really go bad, at least not that fast, because I've had other things in my collection for even longer, and none of them have ever done that to me, and the others in this collection also did not do that. So I don't know what's up with this. Maybe the pigment in this one just went bad. But yeah, I have to get rid of it. I'm really sad about it because I, again, don't have anything else like this in my collection, and I was actually using this quite a bit. Like I've used it very often because it was just perfect for like deepening up my outer corner. But yeah, I have to get rid of it. This next product is like kind of went bad, but not really. But this is the Danessa Myricks. I don't actually know what these things are called, but like the potted shadows. This one is in the shade Pixie Dust. I actually bought this about a year ago because, or maybe a little bit more than a year ago. This was going to be a birthday slash like part of a birthday slash Christmas present for a friend. I forgot to put this in the gift bag, and then I was like, oh, I'll just give it to her next time I see her. We never ended up, I'm still friends with her, but we just never ended up meeting up again before I like moved out of town. So I just brought it with me. I like don't know anyone in the town I'm going to, so I can't just give this away. And I like eventually ended up opening it up and trying it out, and it's fine. I'll like try to also give you a swatch of this if I can get it open. Why is the cap stuck? Okay, the cap is well and truly stuck. I think maybe the stuff in there kind of just dried in there and sealed the cap shut. I don't really know, but this is what it looks like in there. The color is fine. It wasn't my favorite because I feel like it's very like kind of flaky and patchy unless you do like a very thick layer, which I was not really into, and it dries very quickly, so it's kind of difficult to use, just in my opinion. Maybe I'm not finessing it well enough, but either way, I just really couldn't be bothered to use it all that much. It just wasn't my go-to product. And then I'd also heard, especially by Alyssa, she hates these because she's like, yeah, they dry out so quickly, which I agree with. This wasn't completely dry, but it was just every time I would open it up, it was even more dry than the last time I used it, which made it even harder to apply. So I was like, if it's just not a favorite and it's already starting to dry out, I may as well just get rid of it before it actually becomes a hate pan. I do have a lot of palettes, eye and face palettes, but first I have two complexion products. The first one is my Supergoop Protect Tint. This is in the shade 30W. I'm not gonna swatch this because it's just so messy, but I bought this when I was living in Nevada, so around summertime. I had been hearing so many good things about this from like everyone who I heard tried it loved this product, and I was also in the market for something that had or like could add more SPF because again it was summer in Nevada, so I really wanted to protect my skin, and I also just really I tend to like the products that Supergoop puts out, so I thought I would just give this a try. This was, I think I just like got the wrong shade because I bought this when I was at my absolute most tanned self, and I was only that tan for about a month because then I like moved back out of Nevada. So this was like pretty much too dark for me the entire time I was trying to use it. But more than that, this was just so difficult to use because I don't know if anyone else had this problem. Doesn't seem like it because no one else said it or I wouldn't have bought it, but this transfers so easily. Like it, when you put it on, it's extremely like sticky and oily and tacky, kind of like, you know, a sunscreen would be, but I feel like to like an even greater extent. For some reason it just like gets everywhere, like no matter what touches it, it will transfer onto it, and then like there's always more to transfer. No matter how much transfers, there's more to transfer. So it was so messy. Even when I would set it, it didn't matter how much powder I put on my face, it would just get everywhere. And it was so embarrassing because I could always tell which lab coat was mine on the rack before I even saw my name on it, because it would have just a ring of orange around the collar and like even sometimes on the sleeves, which don't tell anyone I said that. Yeah, it was just like even other people would notice. They were like, oh yeah, there's like orange on your lab coat. That was so crazy. And then also the SPF in this expires in June of 2026. I wouldn't, if I even got to the level of tan that I needed to be for this to work for me, it would not be until like well into summer when I've had months to tan, which would be a while after June, so like it wouldn't even have the sunscreen in it, which is the main point of it. So I'm just gonna get rid of it now. And then I have this NYX Pro Fix Stick in the shade, this is supposed to be like a color corrector and concealer hybrid. This is the shade Classic Tan, and I will give you a swatch of this. But it's kind of just the same thing. This is too dark for me. This again only worked for me at my most tan, and I just like really can't be bothered to save this until maybe like a month or two of use and then have to put it away again, because I already have other concealers that, or like color correctors or similar products that can work for me in the summer. And this is also not my absolute favorite formula of color corrector or concealer. It's perfectly fine. I don't find that I hate this. I feel like a lot of people don't like this product because they say it's too dry or something or the other. I have no problem with that. I actually have this in a different shade, like one shade lighter, and I do really like that one enough to finish it. But this one I just can't be bothered with. I feel like I'm at a point in my life right now in the specific moment where I cannot be bothered to make products work for me anymore. My collection is way too large for that now. I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I definitely was that type of person where I was like, no matter what, unless it's already completely expired, I'm gonna make it work. That's no longer the case for me, which I feel good about. Finally, the rest is just palettes, and I feel like a good mix of, not good, it's never good to declutter things that didn't work out. It's just sad, but I have like a very good split between face and eye palettes. So I think I'll start with the face palettes actually. The first one is, I feel like, probably the most shocking for me. It's a NARS face palette, and this is actually all 3 face palettes I bought in 2025. That's maybe a sign I should stop buying face palettes, which is like one of my biggest weaknesses after lips. Face palettes is probably my biggest weakness. But anyway, this is the NARS Pure Luxury Light Reflecting Cheek and Eye Face Palette. I don't know if it's like shade 2 or if it's the second palette of its kind, but anyway, it just says 2 on it. This is what it looks like. It is really pretty. I don't think this is made anymore. I bought it while it was on clearance. I don't really know what I was doing. I bought so much makeup when I was in Nevada. Not like so much, but I feel like most of my makeup purchases was while I was there. I don't really know why, but I bought this while I was living in Nevada for those like 4 months on clearance. I don't know why. I think it was like another one of those Instagram ads. I usually am good at not being enticed by ads, but this just got to me. I thought it was so pretty, and I was like, again, this year and last year have really been my face palette era. I was like, yet another face palette that just looks absolutely beautiful. I have to have it, obviously. And it is really beautiful, and it's just, even just looking at it, I'm like, I want to keep it, but I cannot, because first of all, this bronzer, I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the swatch. Oh, actually, yes, you definitely can. This bronzer is way too red toned for me, to the point where I brought this on, not this past time, but the one before, I think in like October. I went to Minnesota, and my stepmom thought I was putting blush on my forehead, because that's how red toned this is. It's crazy. It's way too red for me. Also, all 3 of these blushes, for whatever reason, are so, like, they're baked, but it's almost like, I don't really know, they were baked too much, because it is so hard to get product on my brush, like out of this pan. I have to take an extremely dense brush and really scrub it in the pan multiple times to get enough product for one cheek. It's crazy. So it's something that didn't work out for me. It's really a shame, because again, these shades are really pretty, and I think other than the bronzer, it's way too red tone for me, but I don't know, it's a bummer. And then I also have, these are not even old. Again, I bought these this year. There's Dust. What are these called? I can never remember the name. These are the Milani All-Inclusive Eye, Cheek, and Face palettes, and I have them in the shades 110 and 120. So I have light to medium and medium to deep. I think there might be one more shade of these, but these were the two that I bought. And I mean, I bought them because they looked nice and I thought I would get a lot of use out of them, but also I did a review on these, and in that review, which was the first time I was using them, I just noticed that neither of these were like the perfect palette for me. So I mean, they're really pretty and they're really cute, and I also like these three shadows, especially this one right here. Like this eyeshadow is so, like, I almost kept this one for that eyeshadow specifically. It is so pretty, and I feel like I don't really have anything else in my collection like it. This highlighter was just way too deep for me, and neither of the bronzers really worked well for me. Like this one, not as bad as the NARS one, but this one was, again, slightly too red tone for me. And then in this palette, this bronzer was just like way too yellow tone for me. It was also kind of light. Like, I think now that I've lost my tan, I'm wearing like a foundation that's way too dark for me right now, which is why I don't like look like I've lost my tan. But I think once I lost my tan, I could make this work depth wise, but it was just way, even though I have yellow undertones, this was still too yellow tone for me. And then I just felt like the combination of eyeshadows in here wasn't my favorite. Oh my god, I just noticed for the first time, for some reason the medium to deep palette has a mirror on it, but the light to medium one does not. I never noticed that until now. That's actually really weird. Is that like a thing? Or did I just randomly get a palette like that? I don't know. So that's it for face palettes. And then now onto eyeshadow palettes. I'll probably, I don't even know if I'll, this is so dusty at this point. I haven't filmed the finale for that project, but this is the Natasha Denona Mini Star eyeshadow palette. This is what it looks like. I had it in my Pan That palette project for the year of 2025, and I was able to hit two different pans in here, in this matte and this metallic. And I just like, not only do I not support Natasha Denona at all, her or her brand, but this was just not a palette that I really ever liked. This was, I think I bought this very soon after I bought the Sephora collection Dahlia palette. So this is like the second oldest palette in my entire collection. I got this when I was really first starting out with eyeshadows. And since then I've come a long way. I've learned what I like. I've had much better quality than this, because I'm here to tell you, I don't care what anyone else says, they're wrong. This is horrible quality. Other people will agree with me. Like, I've never tried the original Star palette, but I've heard many people say like that one had, I don't even think her like large palettes are that great quality, but they were saying this was definitely 1 or 2 steps down from the original one. She like changed the formula for this one. It's just so horrible. Like, this dark brown was so like patchy, and then it would also, after maybe like an hour, just fade away into nothing. This blue brown is also like so terrible. It's the worst blue brown I've ever used. All of her neutral mattes just do not show up true to tone, which was also the case for this one. I did like the this one, this like pink metallic, and then this is actually the one shade that I think I'm gonna miss, because I do think it's a really pretty shade, but I will not be like depotting this because I just can't be bothered. I already have like so many other single shadows that I'm struggling to use, so I'm just gonna get rid of the entire thing. I've gotten plenty of use out of it this past year. I hit 2 pans, which is very hard for me. So I think, I mean, this is such a pretty shade. I'm gonna look at it one more time and then be done with this palette. Then probably very shocking to everyone, because I love Sephora collection eyeshadow palettes to death. I love them. This is one from the, not their last like eyeshadow palette release, but the one from 2024, the Precious Gemstones line. This is the Pearl palette. This is what it looks like. Clearly meant for people with probably, or anyone can use anything, but like probably better suited to people with a lighter skin tone than me, but I just bought all 4 eyeshadow palettes in the entire range. And because I just love Sephora collection eyeshadow palettes, especially these like 7-pan palettes that are like curated for a specific theme. I just love them. So I bought all 4 of them and did a review, and this was the one that I knew I was probably going to get the least amount of use out of, because again, there are only a few shades in here that I feel like actually would work for my skin tone. But I was perfectly fine with that, because I was like, well, I can just use it when I want something very understated and neutral. But the last time that I used this, which was a few months ago, because I put this into my The Office Project pan project that I'm doing on my Instagram, I noticed that the mattes in here, specifically, I should say, because like none of the other mattes really showed up on my skin anyway, but this deep one, that was kind of like the workhorse of the entire palette, because it's like I would have to use it every single time I did a look with this palette. This was just not showing up on my eyes. So like, I don't know what happened in the, I don't know, 8 months between when I bought it and reviewed it and when I used it again, because it was working perfectly fine when I first reviewed it, but it's just like the shadow died on me, and I'm not going to be using this palette without the Made Matte. I mean, I do still think that this like duochrome here is still really pretty. It would have made a really pretty one and done shade. I'll try to swatch it here. You can probably see it here a little bit. It's just like a very subtle duochrome, but it's really pretty. I could have used it as a one and done, and then I think this shade right here was a really pretty inner corner highlight as well, but I cannot keep it. I mean, maybe the other shades did that as well and I just didn't notice because they didn't show up on me anyway, but I cannot be using this palette without that dark brown. So I'm going to have to say goodbye to this. This is the first Sephora palette. Actually, no, I did declutter the Southwest Sunrise last year, which was, I actually completely forgot about that palette. Yeah, I think I bought it actually the same day I bought the Natasha Denona Mini Star. So I decluttered that, what a tangent. I decluttered that one last year, but this will be the first out of these 7-pan palettes from Sephora that I'm ever decluttering, because again, I tend to really love these, but this one just kind of went bad on me. I feel like now I have to kind of do some digging into the other ones, because I'm now just realizing, what if it happened to the others? The next one is from Ulta Beauty. This is, I don't even know what this is actually called. It's just called 5-pan eyeshadow palette on the back. I got this in, it was like, you know how Ulta does those like spend this much on Ulta collection and you'll get like an Ulta collection gift bag. It was in one of those. The other products I think I still have. This one just did not work for me. The shades in here just did not show up on my skin. The mattes, and also what would have been my favorite shade in this palette, this one right here, it almost looks similar to the one from that Milani Eye and Face palette, but doesn't this look just gorgeous in the pan? It looks so just like beautiful and luxurious and like velvety. It looks so pretty, but then when you swatch it, and this is 2 layers of swatches, it barely shows up as anything. And again, this probably could be like a little one and done, just throwing something on shade, but I don't want to have to keep doing that with all my eyeshadows. Like, I want this to be punchy and this boom in your face beautifulness. I don't want to have to turn all my eyeshadows into like one and done eyeshadows and like keep the entire palette for one shade like that. No, I'm just getting rid of it. This I feel like was definitely a dud. And speaking of duds, this e.l.f. palette, this is the e.l.f. Keep It Ethereal palette, which was supposed to be a dupe for the Ethereal Eyes palette from Mario. This is from their like Perfect 10 line. When I saw it online, I just was like, what is that? And I like, even though I'd never had any interest in the like original Ethereal Eyes palette, I thought this was so pretty. Like, the online pictures make this look so beautiful, but it's the same thing as the original Ethereal Eyes palette. The mattes like really do not show up on your skin no matter how much you build them. They really are just not very pigmented at all, and then if you try to like combine them, it just kind of all muddies together and it just does not look nice. And then because the metallics are all very light and ethereal, they don't really have much to them, so they all kind of end up looking like the same thing. And then this shade, which already looks really funny in the pan, it, like for some reason I could not get any like on my brush or on my finger. Like literally I was scrubbing the pan and I couldn't get any pigment, and then finally I had to like scrape off the entire like top layer and then I could get a little bit of something. But since then clearly it's like created hard pan, and that shade is just so much of a dud. It's just really annoying and disappointing. So like I've never decluttered except for one, the Orange Dreamsicle palette from e.l.f. That one was horrible. Other than that, I've also never decluttered an eyeshadow palette from e.l.f. because even though they're not like the tippity top eyeshadow brand, I feel like they do have really good eyeshadows, but not this. I hated this. Oh, let me give you a swatch of that shade. Even after like scrubbing my finger into it, this is what it looks like. You can barely even see anything. Finally, a palette that I'm giving up on is the Sigma Ivy eyeshadow palette. I bought this either in 2022 or 2023 when I was like really getting into Sigma. I still like the brand, but I haven't purchased from them in a very long time after they took like 3 months to ship my package. That was ridiculous. But anyway, this is the Ivy palette. I bought this because this was like an impulse purchase. I bought this because I saw this again on Instagram. I saw a picture of this, and this shade here, which is called Thistle, it looked a lot more green. So this looked like a slightly blue toned kind of like evergreen shade. I thought it was so pretty. Obviously when I got it, it's actually just a navy. So I was like disappointed. This is why you shouldn't buy an eyeshadow palette for one shade, which I feel like is an obvious thing, but I just love the shade so much. I wanted it in my collection, and then it turned out it was not even that shade. But all the other shades in here I feel like are pretty, but it's kind of just like a hodgepodge of shades. Like I feel like none of the shades I would be able to pair together. Like this is a very deep purple, and I wouldn't be able to put it with anything else. There is this shade here called Starlight, which is actually really pretty. This is what it looks like, but it's not like, it's kind of more like a satin, but it's like a dry formula satin, where I'll give you a swatch on this hand because I'm just out of room. This is what it looks like. It's pretty, but I feel like, again, there's like no shine or sparkle to it. This would have to be like a one and done, just all over my lid shade, and I'm just not into doing that unless it's literally like a single that I'm bringing with me to use it as a one and done. I don't want to have to use shades as one and dones. So there's like nothing to pair with this purple shade. And there are these like two blues, Thistle and Elixir, that just don't really pair well together. And then this one is super sparkly, but it doesn't have much shine. It kind of just has a dark base, so it's hard for me to know how to use that one as well. And then this shade Inspire, this is actually a really pretty shade. I have nothing bad to say about this one. This pink, we know how I feel about pinks. And it's also like, it doesn't really show up on my skin because it's like almost the same exact depth as my skin. And I don't know, it just doesn't, I'm not even gonna swatch it because you're not gonna be able to see it. And then this green is pretty. I ran out of fingers to swatch. I'll swatch it on my thumb. This green called Envy, but again, like what would I pair it with? So I feel like the only look that I could get out of this is pairing Inspire and Clove, but Clove was so deep. This was like the deepest, one of the deepest browns in my collection, that I would have to put it like all over my eye and just like have a very, very deep, intense look. And then last time I used this for like, I don't know if I was using, I think I did 2 looks, 1 palette. This brown just kind of died on me. It looked very weird, and I think if I'm remembering correctly, it was like patchy and it just was not performing well at all. So I was like, well, I don't even have this brown matte in here anymore. There's kind of no point in keeping this palette. So even though I love Sigma and there were like a few shades in here that I like, it's just not worth keeping. especially because I never ever think to reach for this palette on its own. And even though I do, like, I ended up liking this navy shade here as a navy. I have a navy matte in another palette, so I don't need it for that. So just like everything else, that palette is getting the boot. It's not seeing 2026. But that is my end of year declutter. These are all the things that are leaving my collection, and I'm not going to be repurchasing any of them. Even the ones that just went bad on me, they will not be coming back into my collection. That is 12 items less in my makeup collection. I feel really good about being able to get rid of stuff that's not working for me. It's always a bummer, like I keep saying, it's always a bummer to have things either go bad on you or not work out for you when you really thought it would, but it's better to just be honest with myself. I feel really good about going into 2026 with only products that I really like and think I will actually use. Thank you so much for watching this long, like, overdone rambly video. I really appreciate you, and I will see you in my next one. Until then, I hope you have a great day. Bye.